I think one thing I can say, I can speak for a lot of furries, is meeting other furries. Not online, but IRL. It's always a weird experience, because either, you have a place to go to, like you can go to fur meets, or maybe there's a furry club in your school, or something like that, or on your college campus, or whatever, or you just meet them randomly out of the blue. And I remember, watching videos of, oh, time to meet furries, or whatever, at IRL or whatever, or in school, and I'm like, wow, that will never happen to me. And it has. It has happened, a few times, and I'm going to be talking about that, but technically 2 of them I met online, but they're in my area. And I'm going to be mentioning those in this video just because they technically count, because both of them go to my school, except one of them I graduated from, so... yeah, interesting stories. So, let's get into that. Okay, so, setting the scene here, it's 2019. My 2 best friends, one of them is gonna be in a different, county, or if you're in the United States, a different state, for basically half the summer, and the other is going to be out of the country. They're going to South Africa because they're from South Africa, and they were going over to meet family and stuff like that. And of course I'm like, well, I have no one to hang out with now, great, until one of my friends was like, hey, you should come hang out with some people that I know, which is a bunch of new people I didn't know. And I was a little hesitant, especially because my social anxiety was pretty bad around that time, but from this experience my social anxiety became a lot better. Start hanging out with them, think they're pretty cool. Eventually I get added to a Instagram group chat, and I'm starting to go through, people that I know. It's like, okay, I hung out with them, oh, they're really cool, I wish I hung out more with them, or I had a really nice conversation with that person, until I came across a certain profile with the name Sergal in it. And of course, us furries know when we see an original species, there's a good chance this person is a furry. And when I went into their profile picture and checking out their account, they had pictures of Booker, Aurora, Majira, Bakari, Sunny Dingo, Cory Coyote, and I'm like, yep, they're a furry. They are a furry. And funny enough, around that time, they were actually active in the group chat, and I was like, you're a furry? And they're like, yeah, is that okay? And I'm like, yeah, because I'm one of you. And they're like, holy shit, and then we started talking in DMs. But we didn't talk too much in DMs because we didn't really know each other, and it was a bit weird. But eventually, time passes on, and I'm at a party. Yes, I was cool enough to get invited to a party at this point. So, I finally get to meet this person, but the thing is that I was... oh god, this is gonna make me dysphoric. I was kind of dressed up, and I had makeup on, and I had my hair curled and stuff like that, because at the time I was still like, oh, I'm a girl, but being a girl makes me uncomfy. I didn't want to admit I was trans at that time. So they didn't really recognize me, because I had makeup on, and I don't usually wear makeup, and and they start mentioning about a time when they were in Australia with kangaroos, and I made a joke, oh, was it a blue and white sodaroo with a Bakari sweat can? And they were like, can I just give you a hug? And now this person is one of my best friends. If you don't know who it was Midnight Circle. Not a very prominent furry in the fandom, but one of my friends. They're in an Irish furry Discord though. If you're in that, you probably know them. Some people might follow them on Instagram. But yeah, really sound dude. One of my best friends. I talk to them every day, and we call about every week actually. We're really, really close friends, and it's just really funny that we're so similar. And for the longest time, he was my only furry friend, and we were both the same species. I think it's hilarious. The next person I met was someone else in a different friend group. That the same person that I mentioned before who was introduced me to the new group, also knew this other group of friends. He's a really big social butterfly. There's this other person, and they ran up to me at one point and were like, "Oh, you're a furry? I'm a furry too, alright?" And I thought that they were joking with me, so I never took them seriously, and I feel kind of bad about this until midnight. Started telling me, "Hey, you know, this person was talking about going to Anthrocon or MFF with me," and I'm like, "Oh, they're not joking." And they're like, "Yeah, they're not joking, they're actually a furry." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." I don't even know how they even figured out I was a furry. Someone must have told somebody, or they must have overheard me talking about something furry related, or seen me drawing something furry related. I don't know, but they knew anyway. And quite honestly, it's something that I'm very open about, and I don't really care. So they were probably bound to find out anyway. The next furry was someone that I met in my drama group. I get a text from a friend, surprisingly the same friend. I don't know how he attracts so many furries, but he does. So anyway, I get a text, and it's a picture of him being on the Zoom call for the drama group, because we couldn't do it because of COVID reasons. We had to do everything on Zoom, and someone is showing their fursuit head. He goes, "Hey, there's a furry in our drama group," and this same person was also in my drama group, because the drama group that I go to split their students in half, so they can have like 2 different sessions. Could have it early in the morning, I would have it later in the afternoon. But somehow they were in this call. I don't know how. Anyway, so I'm like, "Oh my god, there's another furry in my drama group," and I posted about it on my Twitter, and someone in my drama group found that tweet and was like, "Hey, yeah, it's so and so, you should go talk to them." But I didn't want to like initiate a conversation of, "Hey, I know you have a fursuit, let's talk." So eventually one time in drama, they mentioned something about fursuits. Then I realized it was my opportunity to chime in, and so I did. And I mentioned something about, "Oh yeah, those animatronic fursuits, they're really, really cool." And I just seen the look in my drama teacher's face, who's amazing. I love my drama teacher. And she was just like, oh, he's also one of these. Okay, I'm just gonna let him vibe. Oh god. I'm sorry. The price, the look on my drama teacher's face was priceless. So when we were sent out in breakout rooms, of course, my drama teacher put us 2 together, and it was great. We talked about our personas and stuff like that, and that was pretty much it. We didn't really become friends, but we became acquaintances, because we both share the same fandom. So this one's where we get into the, "Oh, we met online, but they live in my area" type stories. But this one is kind of special because, well, one, they started off as a viewer of mine. They found my "How Far Away is a Furry Convention" video, and they're like, "Oh, Irish furries exist." And then they asked for my Discord. I gave them my Discord. We started talking on Discord for a little bit. I asked if they had Twitter because I don't use Discord all that often. And they're like, "Yeah, here's my Twitter." Follow them on Twitter. Didn't think much of it. So eventually, we talked on and off. And eventually they're like, "Oh, Irish furries, they're very hard to come by." And at the time I had made a GC where there was a bunch of Irish furries in that I'm not in anymore. I don't own it anymore. So I had asked them, "Hey, do you want to join this GC?" And they were like, "Yeah, okay." So I added them to the GC, and nothing really escalated from there until one day us Irish furries were talking about our areas. And I had mentioned little things in my area, how there's like a train station in my area, and that there's just like 2 schools, and blah 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 blah. And they were like, "Huh, that kind of sounds like my area." And I'm like, "I doubt it." And they're like, "Yeah, true." And then they mentioned a restaurant. Now here's the thing with this restaurant, right? It is self-owned. It is not a chain restaurant. So of course I'm like, "Huh, that sounds like in my area. It's like only like 10 minutes down from where I am. That's strange." So I decided, okay. Let me test the waters. I mentioned something that's in my town, and that of course only if you live in my town you know about, because there's like only like what 2 chain things really in my area, and they're like, but the thing is that specifically about this building, it was boarded up, and I mentioned that. They're like, huh? How do you know that? I was like, yeah, maybe because I drive by it practically nearly every day. And they're like, oh, that's strange. And I'm like, yeah, it is. So they ask me, what school do I go to? And of course it's in GC, so I'm like, I'm not going to say it. So they ask in DMs. And they ask, do you go to this school? And I'm like, yes. And they were like, okay, name some teachers. And so I did. And then I asked them to name some teachers. And they did. They named teachers from my school. And I'm like, oh shit. So I sent a picture of what I look like to them, and they were like, I seen you last week. Weren't you in this place? And I'm like, last Saturday? They're like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, I was. Holy shit. And then they sent me what they look like, and I'd never seen them before. Quite honestly, because they were a junior, I was a senior, I didn't pay attention to the juniors at all, so of course, I didn't really recognize them at all. So, yeah, one of my viewers turned out to be someone from my school that didn't even know I went to their school, which I find really, really funny. I always made jokes about that, like, what about if, like, you know, a fan of my videos ever went to my school? That'd be funny. Yeah, it happened. Even though I hate calling people who watch my videos fans, I really do. I much prefer the term viewer. But I always made jokes about it, like, and it happened, so I jinxed myself. So if you guys are in the furry YouTuber scene, you probably know who I'm going to talk about next, maybe. You guys know Labrat? Well, Labrat followed me on Twitter not too long ago, but maybe a few months ago. I think it was in February. And they DM'd me, and she was like, oh my god, you're another blank fur. And I'm like, oh shit, this person lives in my state. That's cool. Or county, you know, state if you're in America. In Ireland, county. So I'm like, oh, that's cool. Turns out they're only 15 minutes really relatively away from me. So I'm like, huh, cool. I'll probably run into them at some point. Whatever. Didn't think much of it. Me and Labra had a few back and forths with each other, talking to each other. Didn't think much of it. I posted on Twitter not so long ago about, oh, my registration forms for my college had just come through, and I'm starting college on the 20th of September. I go to sleep, wake up in the morning, and I wake up to a comment from Labra, and she replied, huh, I wonder if we're going to the same college, because I'm also starting on the 20th of September, so I'm like, there's a good chance we're probably going to the same fucking college. So, I text her, and I'm like, hey, are you going to insert college name here? And they're like, yeah, I'm going to that college. And I'm like, well, god dang it. Why does this always happen to me? Why? This is the second time this has happened to me, but like still. How? I don't even know. It makes me feel better though, because I was really worried about going to college because, well, one, only really one other person I knew was going to that college, and the rest of the people that I did know going to that college, I didn't like, or they didn't like me. So I was like, great, someone I like going to college. You know, going to my college. That's great. And also, one of my furry YouTuber friends, hell yeah. But I just find it so funny, you know, because, like, literally that day, I commented underneath someone else's post, being like, I wonder if I'll find any other furries in my college. I doubt it though, because it's a very small college. Like, yeah, if you have a bigger college, you're more likely to find another furry. I go to a small college, and one of my furry friends are already going there. Also, side note, Labra said they're going to do this to me now daily.
Michael Jordan. What is that? Holy shit. What kind of goodness is that?
Because of my height. So enjoy that. So yeah, that's really it for this video, and I hope you guys enjoy this video, and if you guys like it, you know, and you want to see more, you guys can subscribe, and yeah, especially because we're close to 300 subscribers, guys. Holy shit. We just hit 200 like not too long ago, and now we're on to 300. Holy shit. If we can hit 400 by the end of the year, that'd be great. I wanted to hit 500 by the end of the summer, but 300 I'll take. So yeah, especially because I took like 2 breaks in between this summer, so, well, technically 3, I guess. So yeah, that's really all I have to say for this video, so I'll catch you guys in the next one.
You never see it coming.